So then to go around to Soccer's morning show, Soccer Down here on a Freestyle Friday. Very, very busy show as always. Hour number 2, traditionally reserved for the Weekend Whiparound. Patent pending, trademark coming sooner rather than later, probably, possibly, hopefully, maybe, where we'll go over all of the news, all of your matchups coming up in Major League Soccer on the weekend. We'll talk Atlanta and Chicago. We'll get ready for that one. And we will have all of the news that has gone on. We'll have a new round of stupidity down here. We'll go through everything that happened on the weekend. Yes, Sean. Sean leading us off this morning. Considering that the game did not end until 2 o'clock this morning, Sean is up 1-0 in his Eastern Conference final against the bunch of jerks, the Florida Panthers, with Matthew Tkachuk scoring at 2 o'clock this morning in the fourth overtime. That is the beauty of playoff hockey. You don't know when it's going to end. And in Sean's case, it ended at 2 o'clock in the morning. After the third overtime, the public address announcer in Raleigh apologized to the fans that the game was still going on. Almost went to 3 o'clock. I think it was like, 2:40 or something? So Sean got in a nap and is hanging out with us here on the show. So there's all the tired Eastern Conference fans that are hanging out. That, in a situation like that, you always kind of wonder if folks are getting in cat naps. It's like you go to intermission, 14 seconds left in the fourth overtime. I'm paying attention to the Western Conference final myself. The boss is a Kraken fan, a converted Kraken fan. I've always enjoyed what VGK has been doing from the absolute beginning. So obviously I'm rooting for VGK against Dallas. I'm a Kings fan. So I really don't have any dog in the fight except for maybe Western Conference over Eastern Conference. But, the boss is a Kraken fan, converted. And so we're kind of watching the Eastern Conference and letting the Eastern Conference sort itself out. But, and late in the fourth OT. Yeah, exactly. Rick, he went to bed late, and it was still on when he went to bed. But like I said, that's the beauty of playoff hockey, folks. You go until you go, and you're done when you're done. Doesn't matter when it is. So that happened in the Eastern Conference. 1-0 lead for the Sean Vergara Florida Panthers over the bunch of jerks, your Carolina Hurricanes. So that happened early this morning. Ended just a short time ago. But that is not the opening kickoff. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And that is your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. And it is a salute to the lower divisions. That is our opening kickoff this morning. I don't know how many of you could peel away from what you were doing work-wise and not get a finger wag of doom from a boss if you were to do something like that. But yesterday, in the League One second leg in the semifinals, it was looking pretty bleak for John Harkes' Sheffield Wednesday group. Peterborough United put 4 on them at Peterborough to have a 4-0 lead going into the second leg, going back to Sheffield Wednesday. And like I said, I don't know how many of you got to see this, but Sheffield Wednesday came back to 4-3 in regulation. At 90+8, got the equalizer to get it to 4-4. So we all know what that means. You're going another 30 minutes. Peterborough, they dusted themselves off. They got a goal in the first 15 minutes. Sheffield Wednesday said, not so fast, my friend. They got out their number 2 Ticonderoga pencil, and they wagged it at Posh and said, not so fast. They got a goal in the second 15 minutes. So you go from 4-0 to 4-4. You go from 5-4 to 5-5. You're done after 30 minutes, but you're not done because you go to PKs. Sheffield Wednesday wins in PKs after one of the Peterborough shots crushes the crossbar. I mean, hit it flush and went up into like the 10th row. Yes, Ricky, it was absolute madness. And so Sheffield Wednesday, after being down 4-0 after the first leg in the semis, now has a chance to go into the championship if they win. After being down 4-0, come back to 4-4, down 5-4, come back to 5-5, win in PKs. It was madness. I'd love to know if there was a camera in the room that John Harkes was in Greenville. Or if John Harkes basically told everybody, leave me alone, shut the door behind you, and I can't watch with a room of folks. So if there's any intel out of Greenville and the Greenville Triumph this morning, I'd love to know what it was. John Harkes, I'm sure, is a mess this morning. Rightfully so. So that was that is the madness of playoffs, both in the National Hockey League and in England, as Jason says. See, he's got more depth to it than I do, but still, the madness of the postseason is your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code once again for those watching on Twitch. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% off and reinvest it into youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Thanks to all of you guys who have invested in Kickoff Coffee and are hopefully enjoying the caffeinated goodness of Kickoff Coffee in their various and sundry brands and flavors. And thanks to everybody who has been investing in Kickoff Coffee and continues to do so. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your opening kickoff this morning. So, the match, for those of you who have the plus, you can go back and watch it again. So go back. Yeah, just go back and watch the whole thing. I mean, literally, if you've got stuff to do today, you just hit play and have it on in the room while you're working, because it is an afternoon. Like literally it is 3 hours of your time. So if you're working today and have the plus and can go back and listen to the replay have it on in the room while you're working or trying to be productive. So enjoy that madness. Yeah. And so Ricky, remember the fan that tore up his ticket after getting killed in the first leg? Yeah. Kind of like the guardian of the chalice in the Indiana Jones movie. He chose poorly. That dude. So, yeah. So that's the kind of madness that you've got going on. And like I said, that's the beauty of the playoffs. The beauty of the playoffs happened yesterday in the lower divisions in England. Yes, Will. Good morning, everybody. Will's pretty jacked up. Will's excited because there is a match tonight at Joe Davis Stadium in the Rocket City, as Will says. It is MLS Next Pro Premier. It is opening night. First ever home game after the first 7 for Jack Collison and Hunt City were on the road. They've got a home match. 6,000 tickets sold. We'll see. Will is giving us all of the play-by-play. 6,000 tickets sold for Joe Davis, a renovated Joe Davis Stadium. And I would anticipate that the most important person at Joe Davis Stadium tonight in Huntsville, Alabama, is the fire marshal. I just want to know how many folks are going to get there, that they're going to allow in the door to see what's going on. Crown Legacy, yes, Joe Davis Stadium at Wicks Family Field. Or is it Wicks Family Field at Joe Davis Stadium? I think you go small to out. I think it's Wicks Family Field at Joe Davis Stadium. Crown Legacy. Atlanta United 2 fans know all about Crown Legacy. Crown Legacy's on the road at Hunt City tonight. And you can catch that on your MLS Next Proness and however you do so. Let me see if it is. Let me see if it's on the website, or let me see if it is on the if it is on Season Pass. It is a Season Pass game. All 3 matches tonight are on Season Pass. Hunt City's at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, hosting Crown Legacy. Atlanta United 2, excellent. And so we can drop the promo here. Atlanta United 2, a little before 7 o'clock here on the network. We'll have your pregame show from here at SDH Studios. Match tonight against Orlando City B is at Osceola Heritage Park, so I'll have the call tonight. Pregame show a little before 7. Probably have a little bit of preview with the Hunt City and what is going on up there as well as a part of the pregame show to get you ready. So Orlando City B, Atlanta United 2, here on the network a little before 7 o'clock with your pregame kickoff a little after 7, and we'll have the match tonight. Very, very busy day here on the network. So here's your traffic. Later today, your NPSL Southeastern Conference weekly will be posted. Your Prem and Proper gets posted later today since Newcastle beat Brighton yesterday. You've got Thursdays with Nico on a Friday. That is at 4 o'clock. So busy, busy day. You've got NPSL show, Prem and Proper. Thursdays with Nico on a Fridays at 4. Atlanta United 2 and Orlando City B a little before 7 o'clock. So that's your rundown today. All those matches from MLS Next Pro, you can catch them on MLS Season Pass. Austin FC 2 hosting Earthquakes 2 at Palmer Field at St. David's. So all 3 of those you can catch on the TV side on MLS Season Pass. Audio tonight here on the network for the OCB Atlanta United 2 match. And Will be at Hunt City and Crown Legacy partying because it is opening night right there. So there you go. Almost and so your match preview for Hunt City and Crown Legacy. Almost beat them in match day 1 on penalties. Equalized last kick of the match. Still the only team, that's true, the only team to take points away from Crown Legacy this year was Hunt City. And the Sickos committees decided to start keeping up with Kennesaw State football. And yes, and thank you, Will, for letting them, for introducing them to the idea of action at the fraction. Trademark in-house. So, yes, Sickos. Welcome, Sickos committee. We need to have the Sickos committee dialed into soccer. Okay, so that's your opening kickoff. Anticipating our friends dropping by in a little while. Michael Parkhurst joining us at 9:30 for the Friday free kick. So the intrepid work that you guys do on a daily basis, we were talking about it yesterday, and it happened shortly thereafter. See, this is what happens when you have a morning show and you don't have an afternoon show. Is that Luiz Araujo heading to Flamingo. His last match will be the Red Bulls match at Red Bull Arena on June 24th. So Luiz Araujo is heading to Flamingo. And from our friends at Globo, player was monitored since the last window, had the endorsement of Jorge Sampaoli and the right signing. And so it's Google translated. So I'm guessing that they didn't flinch at the figure. They liked what Luis brought to the table. Left-handed, good at dribbling, fast and skillful. These were the characteristics that aroused Flamingo's interest. The 26-year-old right winger risks shots from outside the area and has the classic cut move to the middle. And like I said, Globo, this is from Globo Sports, and this is translated. Although he plays on the wrong foot, Luis also has the ability to play wide on the left and has already played the role of false 9 at Atlanta United, 60 games, 13 goals, 9 assists. Frequently used in the North American team. They go through all of his numbers. Muscle injury in 22 left him out for 44 days. Go through the whole bio. And Flamingo will pay €9 million according to Globo, and that translates. No, and I don't think any of us did. So €9 million comes out to just under $10 million. It's like 9.7. At least it was yesterday. I don't know what the exchange rate is. So 9.7 million US, €9 million. leaving after the Red Bulls match, traveling to Brazil to start his spell at Flamengo. The bond, once again, the sentence from Globo. The bond is until the end of 2027. A sector manager at Sao Paulo at GE, at Globo, Eduardo Rodriguez summarized Araujo's time at the club. And at the time, player was 19 years old when he was at Sao Paulo. So it goes through all of that. It goes through his time at Sao Paulo when he was a 19-year-old. No, I mean, Emilio is concerned if there's something in the contract that would nullify the deal if he gets hurt before 6/24. So, I mean, you're looking at a month's worth of action. I don't think there's a nullification. I mean, there's always protective writing. So let's phrase it that way. There's protective writing in there, but you also, you've got a player in rhythm. So it's going to be, do you protect your investment? We'll see. But you know that Luis wants to play, and he wants to give 100% before he leaves. So we'll see. Like I said, it's going to be on a game by game basis. So we'll know the answers, Emilio, as you see things going forward. But I think that Luis is going to want to play, and the physio staff with Atlanta United is going to monitor his minutes, monitor his usage, how it is in practice, all those kinds of things to make sure that everything is copacetic and cool before he heads to Flamengo. So, but no, it really was surprising to see something come that quickly. But once again, I mean, Ricky, we always go back to the thought of we don't know what we don't know. And so we don't know how advanced the discussions were. We don't know when they started. We don't know how advanced they were. And, so to us, it was a quick announcement. When it came to the actual development of the deal, we don't know how far back that goes. And, if this is something that is being discussed with the team, the players' reps, and Flamengo in this case, I mean, if this is all part of a discussion, it's probably something that's been on Luis's mind for a while. Because if this is, if you want to do well, and you want to show well for both parties, meaning Atlanta United and Flamengo in this case, you're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself to try to create and try to be what both teams see in you. And so I'm sure that, Luis, in addition to what he was doing with Atlanta United, he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to make sure that he was being as good worthy of the discussion of a transfer from Atlanta United to Flamengo is probably the best way that I can phrase it. So, Luiz Araujo for just under $10 million. Actually, tell you what, since it was 9.7. Yeah, Burn says, I think it'd be smart to diagnose an unspecified minor muscle injury and declare him out until June 24th. Too important that he actually leaves. Yeah, with the DP spot and et cetera. All right, so just to get the number correct, so yesterday it was like 9.68 million euro. So let's see. So if we go 9 million, okay, so it's a little better today. It's over 9.7. It was 9.68 million dollars US yesterday. So today it's 9.7. So Flamengo got a deal of over $300,000 today, or was it 968? $30,000. Sorry, $30,000. They saved by making the deal announcement yesterday. So I wonder if it's a floating scale. So there you go. But I mean, like I said, we'll see. Yeah, does Luis come in off the bench? Does he start? What do you do? So there's a month left, and now it's up to the staff to figure out. Okay, if we use Luis the way that we would like to, we try not to shorthand yourself. So it is an underlying question. What do you do with Yeah, what do you do with Luiz? And Alex takes a little bit of umbrage with the fingers in the ears thing. Did you ever hear anyone booing him in the stands? There have been justified questions about his play, but but we've always cheered. I mean, Alex, and I don't monitor social media, but I have seen outside of our purview, I have seen folks take shots, and not at his play, not at his play, but at the person. It's not a majority opinion, but there have been folks on social media that have taken shots at the person as a part of their overall discussion about the player. Like I said, it is a small number of folks that do it, but there are folks that have done it. It's incredibly uncalled for. And we always try to make a point on this show that there are ways to show your support for your team, and you can raise questions about an individual's play. Raising questions about play, like I said, we do that here. Whether it's Twitch pitch or part of the discussion, what happened, whatever. But there have been folks on social media who have taken shots at the person. Like I said, we haven't done that here. I haven't seen it here. So when somebody takes a shot at you as a person, first off, it's uncalled for. And I'd like to think that we're better at that on a 100% activity percentage. Like I said, we can talk about his play. We talked about his play. That's perfectly fine. To talk about his play is cool. To say things about the person, that's not cool. And so when there are those folks, that minority, that do those kinds of things on social media, then to see a reaction like that, I mean, I get it. I completely understand it. But I think that it also serves as a reminder that there's only when you are having a discussion about a player, and like I said, this is not saying anything about the discussions we've had here. When you want to take a shot at somebody as a person, that's completely uncalled for. Don't do those kinds of things. And what I like to think about the show and our discussions and the Discord and all of the things that we do on a daily basis, that the discussions that are had in and around the folks that are a part of what we have every day in our everyday environment, it's legitimate discussions about play. I would love it if 100% of the discussions were about play, positive, negative, whatever, when it comes to social media. But of course, it never is that way, sadly. And it's a reminder that these folks are human beings. As much as they are there to be a part of a club, good morning, four card, that is going on, I mean, they're human beings. It is 9:30, which means that we get to hang out with folks. And one person in particular, he always the bill of the cap facing away from us, so we can see what's going on in the brain and the eyes of this particular individual. And so I'm going to test my technological merit, because it's that time when we catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals. Morning, Cap.
John, good morning.
And I mean that both figuratively and literally, sir. Morning, Cap.
How are you doing?
The bill is backward. He's ready to talk shop. He's ready to talk stuff.
Yes, sir.
Thumbs up and away we go. First thing, obviously, has to do with news out of Atlanta United yesterday and the transfer of Luiz Araujo to Flamengo. And it looks like it's about depending on the exchange rate, somewhere in the neighborhood of 9.7 million. I know that a lot of folks had high expectations. When players come into our favorite clubs, we always have high expectations. And there were moments that I know that a lot of folks saw what Luis was capable of at Liga, and that was what he brought to the table. Obviously, I know that the numbers when it comes to productivity are disappointing, but when I mention Luiz Araujo, what comes to mind for you?
Super talented player
Mm-hmm.
that just wasn't consistent enough, I don't think. I think that the game last week is a good example, right? Or Wednesday was a good example of what he's capable of. It's a very good goal. I thought he was lively throughout the game. And that's we just haven't seen enough of that. And I think that you expect that on a more consistent basis, for sure, their highest paid player and somebody that's, not only making that type of money, but the transfer value and the potential. And so, I don't think it was a bad signing because I see what they saw, right? You see the potential, but we just didn't see enough of it, I didn't think. So I think they did a good job of moving on from Luis. And obviously it opens up a big gap there to fill. And then they need to fill it because we need another piece going forward.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that in the summer window coming up in short order. Luis is with the club through the Red Bulls match on June 24th, and then he heads south to Flamengo. When it comes to just the world of transfers, I mean, you've been on rosters worldwide where folks are there, folks are in, folks are out, folks are moving on. How difficult is it for teammates / club to focus on what's going on in front of you and focusing on the day-to-day, even if there's just chatter going on involving pieces that may or may not be with you? How difficult is it to focus as a group in a situation like that where a big-name player might be out the door?
Yeah, sometimes more so than others. I think that, within the group, you usually have a pretty good idea of potential guys that might be moving in and moving on. I think it's a little bit more challenging when it's a sudden surprise player, right? Where it's like a mainstay or, someone super valuable to the team and all of a sudden it came out of the blue type thing. Those can be a little challenging where you're kind of like, why, right? Second guessing the brass above, why would you do that type thing? But I think for the most part and in general, like, guys understand it's a business. And usually if guys are moving on, they're moving on to something better. So you're happy for them. It's not always the case, but especially if they're moving on to Europe, it usually is. So, you're happy for them and you understand, like, give somebody else an opportunity. That's how most guys got their original opportunity. So it's just part of the business, and you tend to move on pretty quickly. It affects you, obviously, if you're really good friends with the player. It can affect you a little bit more maybe, but I don't know. It's like I said, I think we're used to it at a certain point.
How difficult is it to pack up your life and go to that next place? Because, I mean, as a single guy, I would imagine that, single guy, you're like, yeah, okay, I know it's the next stage of my career, all that kind of stuff. But as you get older, there's relationships, there's family, there's all those other kinds of things that you have to consider in a situation like that. How much more difficult is it as you grow older and more set in your career and more experienced in your career to move on, even if it's not your choice?
Extremely. And I think that's the reason why old school MLS took advantage of all the veteran, older American players, because they knew, right? You don't really want to move. Oh, man. You
I
don't
think
really want to move a family, especially you got kids in school and things, right? So, I think that's why the veteran American player has gotten taken advantage of for a really long time in MLS, and I think that's changing now with free agency and things. But back when I was a young player, that was the case. Because you're right, it's just like anybody else, right? It's not easy to take kids out of school and move and or to live apart from each other, right? Because that's always challenging. But even for single guys, and I've talked to this about with some players, like going to Europe is not always like you're going to live in some grand city and it's going to be awesome, right? You could go, even if you're in England, you could live in the middle of nowhere, sort of, and in some tiny little town that doesn't have much going on, and it just doesn't have what you're used to having if you're in a decent sized city in the US. So it can be lonely, for sure. So these are all things you have to think about. And obviously adapting to languages and customs and new teams and teammates and all those things. So it's not cut and dry as you would think sometimes, but the guys that are more adaptable and can adapt quicker to those situations, are able to have success quicker.
So then let me ask you this from the mentee perspective, because we all know with younger players who want to establish themselves, sometimes, I mean, you look at the NWSL, they have kids, and they are kids because they're like 1/3 my age. You got 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old players that are doing well in the NWSL. You've got players who are 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, who've been part of it with Atlanta United and with, Caleb and Noah Cobb and players like that are turning into success at very young ages. When it comes to, the conversations with those younger guys about those next steps in their career, I mean, I would imagine that the younger player today and possibly mentees understand the nature of the business more than probably the generation previous or 2 generations previous, just because they understand that it's a worldwide game and it's the nature of things. I mean, do you have conversations about how different things are when it comes to travel and how different things are for the younger players? It's like, yeah, the world is different. You have all these things. What are conversations like about the growth of the game and what to expect off the field for younger players? Do they get it these days?
Some, for sure. That's one of the reasons why we started Beyond Goals, was to try and help them understand that from a younger age, that like it's so different when you're living with family or you're living, in college, where you've got like this set schedule, right? I've got school, I've got this, I've got that, I've got training, I come home, I have dinner, right? And now all of a sudden you turn pro. And if you're not still living with family, right, all of a sudden you're home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And what are you going to do for the next 10 hours before you go to sleep, 8 hours before you go to sleep, right? And no one's looking over your shoulder saying, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, right? You have to eat this for dinner, right? You got to cook your own dinner. You got to figure out how to cook, right? You got to grocery shop, all these things that, the normal adult doesn't do until after college, right? When they're 23 or so. And, you have to do this now sometimes when you're 17. And so it's an adjustment, and some guys don't do well with that. But that's one of the reasons why we started this, was to try and help out with some of those things. But I do think that younger players understand it's a global game and there's so many opportunities out there. And with that comes, the possibility of moving out of the country and experiencing something new. And I would always encourage players to experience as many opportunities as they can because it's such an awesome life experience, not just within soccer. But there's definitely challenges, and it's not for everyone.
Well, and at the same time, those challenges are a part of that adjustment and trying to figure out, all right, so I'm growing as an adult, and it's a different set of life challenges today with the global game, I would think, than maybe even 5 or 10 years ago with individuals trying to figure out, okay, what are the next steps in my life? Oh, I have this opportunity to go worldwide. I would think that pressure self-imposed might even be more these days than it was a handful of years ago too, just because of expectations, both from those who are around you and by yourself. Is that the case?
Probably. And just everything's more known nowadays because of social media and obviously more coverage of US soccer, which is fantastic. But yeah, when I was moving to Europe and when guys even older than me were moving to Europe, where there wasn't that much news about it because social media didn't exist yet. So there was a lot less pressure from the outside than you see now, right? And now there's still that lens of some people that are like, why aren't you going to Europe? Like take Miles, for example, right? Where it's like, why wouldn't you go to Europe? Why wouldn't you, right? If are you good enough? Show us that you're good enough, right? And it's like, well, Miles doesn't have to prove that to anybody if he doesn't want to, right? If Miles doesn't want to go to Europe, he doesn't need to go to Europe for his career. He's already a starter on the national team. So why does he have to go to Europe if he doesn't want to go to Europe, right? So, every player is a little bit different. Their ambitions are a little bit different, and it's understanding that and not feeling that pressure of I have to, right? It's some players want to, but others don't need to.
And I would think also at the same time that would contribute to the acknowledgement of the growth of the game here in the United States, where players who have the chance or the option to go overseas, they're like, no, I'm good. I mean, because Major League Soccer right now is probably a top 12 league worldwide. And I think that the next step in MLS's quote, end quote, legitimacy, with the countries in Europe, it's like, oh, Major League Soccer, no. Why would you want to stay there and play Major League? I think that players staying home instead of going overseas is that next step for MLS when it comes to the worldwide game. It's like, oh, you're staying there now. Okay. If I'm a player in Europe, maybe I should be interested in hopping over instead of the other way around. I mean, am I far off there?
No, and I think that's why you saw guys like Michael Bradley and Josie get these massive contracts when they came back from Europe, because MLS wanted to have their U.S. national team players playing in MLS. So I think that's the reason why you saw those contracts, because that was the push, and I get that. No matter what, you're still going to have guys with different ambitions, right? Still all the English national team players don't play in England. I think Italy's probably like maybe one of the only ones where those guys kind of stay put, right? But every national team, their players are playing all over. They've got different ambitions. Take Mexico. I mean, a lot of the Mexican players are in Europe now. And the Mexican league is supposedly better than MLS, right? So it's, I don't know. There's always going to be the player that has the desire to go to Europe, right, and play in UEFA Champions League, right, and play in the countries over there, because we're still not at the level of the top leagues over there, and we won't be probably for a little while longer, which is okay. They've been around for a lot longer. They've still got a lot more money, especially in England. But the lure of Champions League and some of those, you're not going to prevent everyone from going over there. But yes, you're always going to have that Landon Donovan, maybe Miles, these players, Walker Zimmerman, these national team players that want to stay in the U.S. and develop there and have really good careers.
When you were going overseas to play, and we talked about support systems, and I apologize that this is going all over the place because, you'll say something that will trigger, and it's like, okay, I've got to hang on to that. When you were going overseas to play, we talk about support systems. What was it like for you reaching back to the United States to try to catch up with folks? I mean, how difficult was it? Were you staying up later? Were you getting up earlier to try to talk to folks? Did you have unlimited international calling on your phone? Because today it's like phone and WhatsApp and all this kind of stuff. How difficult was it to reach back to that support system when you're overseas? And I would imagine 99% of your support system is back here in the States. How difficult is that?
Yeah, it's a little challenging. I think it was a 6-hour difference from Denmark to the East Coast, and so it's all about scheduling things. It was like you can't just always pick up the phone and just call somebody. Back then I was using Skype, like had a Skype phone number,
Yeah.
so that was everything for me. It was all on the computer. I didn't have my first iPhone, I think, until I went to Germany. So. Yeah, different time. So I wasn't even like texting anybody. But no, that support system is crucial. And I had my wife move over there after 6 months, so I was there with her. But I was still able to catch up with friends and family, and some former players that I kept in touch with. And like I've said previously, I got really lucky that I had a great teammate, and his girlfriend lived right next to me, and literally they took me under their wing. And even though I was a few years older than both of them, but I was there like every day for hours, just hanging out, because that was before my wife moved over. So really fortunate for that.
How much of your support system as a player is still with you today? How many of those numbers from teammates and friends and family and folks that were tight with you, how much of that support system is still with you today when you were a player?
Most. I mean, some players you're very close with when you play with them, and then you move on or they move on, and you stay in touch for a little while, but then you kind of grow apart a little bit. It's tough to stay in contact with everybody. But I think that we've got a really unique situation with the bonding and the experiences that we've all gone through. So if you ever bump into that guy or talk to him every now and then, it's like, you're best buds and you haven't missed a day. But we don't keep in touch regularly. Like, good example, like I went on this golf trip last week, and was with a bunch of former MLS players, and it was so great to hang out with them and tell stories and stuff. And it was like guys I competed against, guys I played with, right? But it was like, all of a sudden we're just all really good friends, right? Because we've all kind of gone through that same experience, lived the same type of life, now transitioned into different things and talking about that. So good group.
How'd you shoot?
I didn't play my best. I didn't play my best. 93 twice and a 99, which the 99 was a second 18 of the day. And I'd say the drinks were heavily flowing by then. So didn't help.
So did you end up having to purchase a mulligan on each 9 for that second round? How did that work?
No, there were no mulligans.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been smart. I think all of us about midway through that second 18 were like, we should have played scramble.
So when it comes to the mentees today, when it comes to their support systems, whether it's the guys that you go and golf with, whether it's the guys that are on the phone, do you see their support systems, whether it's peers or family or other, do you get to see those develop as well? And do you get to gauge where they are in their journey when it comes to support systems too?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, for the most of the mentees, right, the support system is the parents, the family, and some teammates. You hear them talk about, like for Atlanta United, right? Some teammates have gotten released recently, and that's challenging not only for the players that got released, obviously, but for the teammates that are still there at Atlanta United who didn't get released, and now their best friends, leaving the team, and they feel bad and don't know who's going to be their best friend next year, and little things like that. So you can see that they've got these little support systems within their own team, but obviously a lot of the mentees have good support systems at home from families. I know that the staff, most staffs take that on as well, right? Coaches have an unbelievable opportunity to mold children, good or bad. And, it's kind of underestimated, I think, especially like at the youth level, right? When we're talking about recreational coaches and, not like top Atlanta United coaches, but like anybody like a mom and a dad coaching, right? They still have an unbelievable amount of sway over our children and how they feel and the confidence they give them or don't give them, and the support that they give. So that's super important to. And I'm glad most of the kids have a good one, but not all of them do. And that's where we try and fill in the gaps sometimes as well.
Yeah. Michael Parkhurst hanging out with us for the Friday Free Kick with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring, at MF Parkhurst, and at BG Mentoring on the Twitters. Joe Bost is in this morning, and he wanted to give you and Greg a shout out for tweeting pointers to kids beginning the tryout saga.
Yeah, we a few of our mentees had said that they were trying out, and we had started talking to them about what they're going through and what they're feeling. And so then we were like, well, surely there's thousands of other kids doing it. So we're like, well, why don't we kind of put this out there and just kind of throw out some little tips? And we need to do more of that type of stuff. And we've thrown around the idea of like putting together like some course material type stuff for kids to kind of go through that don't want to go like the full mentoring route, because we understand not every kid wants to jump on a call with me or Greg because they're intimidated or they're shy or whatever. Obviously some families can't afford it. And so we're in the early processes of trying to figure out, okay, how do we put together a course that has videos and things and it's interactive, right? So that we can give some of this information out there and available to more and more kids. But yeah, we need to do, little things like that a little bit more often. We're trying to get better at that.
What were some of the pointers for those that might need the information later? What were some of the pointers that were either most received or the light bulb went off for folks? What were some of those pointers that you shouted out?
The first one for me was, you don't have to be perfect at tryout, right? Coach isn't looking for the perfect player that doesn't make a single mistake. So often we have this expectation that we want to be perfect. We have to be, super clean at everything. And it's just unrealistic. And, I say like the players that are making things happen and taking risks are more likely to make some mistakes, and that's okay. The coaches want to see the ideas and the positioning and the effort and the reaction to those mistakes, more so than they want to see, oh, can you connect every single pass and make every single play, right? That's crazy. They're not thinking that. So that was a big one that we got good feedback on.
Tryout anxiety is what Bernd is discussing here. He's like, not a comfortable few weeks for kids and parents. He says he'd sign up for the course in a second. I mean, it's almost like parents need as much menteeing as the mentees do.
We've absolutely thought about that as well, and trying to help with that as well, because it's funny. I was literally just talking yesterday and thinking about this growth mindset and what goes into that, and seeing losses and setbacks as a positive thing, right? Of how to learn and how to get better rather than like, oh, we lost. And it brings me back to that Giannis clip. I love this Giannis clip, the basketball player, when the interviewer asks him, was this season a failure? And his answer to that was just amazing answer. So anyone that hasn't seen that, definitely YouTube it. But he gave such a great answer that there is no failure in sports. There's just setbacks, and you have to learn, and it's a step-by-step process. And he was like, every year Michael Jordan didn't win the championship. Was that a failure? Like, no, he's getting there towards it. And I always think of that with parents, right? Where they're screaming on the sidelines and going ballistic and stuff. And it's like, why? Right? Because you want your child to win so bad on that day. And it's like, we need to teach the parents growth mindset, right? Of like, hey, win or lose, your kid can still learn something from the day and get better, right? We need to stop focusing on the short-sightedness of like win today versus okay, we can still get better for the long run and have more success in the long run, even if we lose. And that can be taught down to the child as well. But I think that would help a little bit with the comedy that is the sideline of youth sports.
And at the same time, you also, in addition to that comedy, have the living vicariously through the frustrated adult athlete that wasn't able to accomplish whatever they thought they were going to accomplish, and now all of that pressure that that they have is now forced upon their children, and it's disappointing to see that, because you want the child, you want that young athlete, that young person to develop their own thoughts and ideas and approach. Yet there's too many times where you see a parent who is pressing down on those ideas because of what they want for their child, for them, instead of what the child should be able to do for themselves.
Right. Totally. And I think that children feel that anxiety sometimes of like mom and dad being super nervous and wanting me to win, to make this team. And then that adds to the pressure for the child of like, oh, now not only do I not want to disappoint myself, I don't want to disappoint mom and dad that I didn't make it. But I get it from the parent perspective, because my daughter had softball tryouts, right? And I wanted her to make the team, of course, because I thought she'd, have a great experience and learn to love softball a little bit even more. And she didn't make it. She tried out for 3 different teams, didn't make any of them. And I felt bad for her, but she had a great mentality about it. And, I tried not to put any pressure on her at all. And, I barely made myself visible during tryouts, right? Like really far away, just kind of watching, being as supportive as I can. But I get that the anxiety is real, because obviously we want the best for our kids. So it's really a balance of, supporting them, but also helping them understand like, okay, this is a good opportunity, right? Of, you should try and take advantage of this opportunity that you have in front of you. So yeah, we're definitely trying to put some things together to help out.
How long did it take you as a parent to sit there and go, okay, I need to go hide under a tree, or I need to go hide behind these parents, when it came to what you want for your kids and for them to succeed?
I've always been like that. I can't stand, and probably a lot of parents think I'm an asshole, a jerk.
There goes the explicit rating for today. All right.
Because I rarely sit with the group. And that's because I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to be a part of it. And so I usually go sit by myself or further away, and just is what it is. Because I still remember to this day parents of teammates of mine when we were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and they are screaming on the sideline. And, I was always thankful that my parents weren't doing that. And, I know that those players didn't appreciate their parents doing that. So, I never, ever would be that parent. I don't look down upon those other parents that do, because I get they're just trying to help out their child, but it's not for me, and I stay far away.
All right, last question for you, and thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. Bernd is asking, as a center back, and going back to the Luiz Araujo discussion, how would you defend a player that is so extremely one-footed like Luiz, maybe like Miggy, somebody like that? Is it significantly easier, or can guys still be a threat because of their quickness to get off shots, etc.? How would you defend someone who is so extremely one-footed?
Yeah, well, I think that it's okay that they're extremely one-footed, because like take Brooks, for example, right? Brooks is when he wants to get a cross in, it's always his right foot. He's not cutting and moving it to his left, but his first step is so quick that he can get it off, right? It's similar to the guy, Antonio. I think they played for Manchester United. He was a right wing back, maybe a right. Everybody knew he was going right. Always. But he could still get his cross off every time. Miggy could go to his right, but he was just so fast that he could then cut in front of you and get on his left. I don't know if Araujo is that fast, but for me, I wouldn't give him space. Araujo is a player that needs to like that open space to get going, and like it doesn't seem like he's as sound when it's really tight spaces. He's like that guy in transition who can push it by you, do a few things. So for me, I wouldn't let him have that space to try and get in transition. In my older days, I would just kick him probably.
I just had this vision of you kicking people now. What's the latest with Beyond Goals? Now that high school season's over, everybody might be transitioning to camps and teams for the summer and college. What's the latest?
Yeah, we are very close to finally announcing a partnership with Atlanta United. So
there you go.
Helping. We've got a sponsor now to help out with that. So trying to get those kids ready for they've got playoffs coming up for MLS Next. So a different type of anxiety and pressure that they're feeling going in towards that. And like I said, trying to figure out this course stuff for players and different topics and how we can put it all together and where to host it. And gosh, I need to get better with technology, John.
Well, don't look at me, brother, because I'm right there with you. As always, great to catch up with you on everything going on with Beyond Goals and with mentoring. And if you ever want to break news about anything going on with Beyond Goals, you can always break news here on the show. You don't have to wait. You can always come here and break news. Break news here.
Yeah, you let me know when you want Kano on as well. By the way,
anytime.
Okay.
Anytime. We can turn this into a three-way dance. We can turn it into a party line. Does not matter. That's what 9:30 on Fridays is all about. Anytime you want anybody else to crash the party, forward the invite. We'll have fun. We'll do it, brother.
Sounds good. All right.
Enjoy your non-scramble format golf. I can't believe you didn't play scramble for that second 18.
But what a mistake.
You and me both, brother. We'll catch up in a couple of weeks.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
All right, Michael Parkhurst, man. 99 on a second 18, understanding you probably should have been a scramble format. So, no, it's always great to have our friends with the Beyond Goals hanging out with us and breaking out a bunch of different topics. And thanks to Greg and Michael for putting up with my questions on a weekly basis, because there'll be something that literally when it comes to questions with the guys, for those of you watching on Twitch, that's how many questions I always have prepared. I have an idea as to where I want to go. And then just the conversation goes where it goes. So a blank sheet of paper. It's always, I am profoundly thankful for Greg and Michael putting up with my questions on a weekly basis. So at BG Mentoring on Twitter, Beyond Goals Mentoring on the World Wide Web, and they can always break news here whenever they want. All right, now that we're in hour number 2, it is time to read the promo. And so we're trimming the music. We're getting the music to levels that are acceptable so you can hear me read said promo. And here we go. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's the Lemonize Service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. The Lemonize Service deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind to the environment, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. We like that. We like being kind to the environment. The environment is our friend. Lemonize is different than Febreze or any other masking agent that you may have in your abode, either under the sink or above you in the cupboard, because when you reach underneath the sink or above you in the cupboard, then you take that container out, and you spray what's inside the container, and you just spray it around as a masking agent. There's a reason they call it a masking agent, because all you're doing is masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem all the way down to the molecule like our friends at a Lemonize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing easy, one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, then you go to the website. This is where I grab my pen, because we have a homework assignment for you in addition to going to eliminize.com. You go to alemanize.com, but after the .com, go /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so they can help you with your issues. Full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, alemanize.com /Atlanta. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Freestyle Friday. Friday Free Kick with Michael Parkhurst will be released separately when it comes to everything here on SDH. Once again, very, very busy Friday. Busy Friday, very, very busy Friday. How busy is it, you ask? Well, obviously, on the network, this show and the Beyond Goals mentoring segment, that'll come up later on the app and on the web. Don't forget, download the SDH app, available iOS and Android on Google Play Store. You can download Soccer Down Here. You have to go to Spreaker, download their app, and then do a search for Soccer Down Here. For those of you on Apple devices, go to the website, soccerdownhere.net. That's always probably the easiest place to go. Later today, on release, interview with Mauricio Ruiz, who is doing many, many things right now in the front office for USL to Jacks. We catch up with him about the USL Super League announcement, and what it means to Jacksonville and their growth of their franchise. The NPSL Southeastern Conference weekly show is coming up later this afternoon on the network. Thursdays with Nico on a Friday is coming up at 4 o'clock, so that will be live on the network at 4. Maybe Sean will be napping at that point. And also tonight, a little before 7 o'clock, the Twos are playing Orlando City B at Osceola Heritage Park. We will have that game here on the network. I'll be doing play-by-play for that since Jason is flying to Chicago for Atlanta United and Chicago Fire. So pregame show a little before 7 o'clock. Set up your notifications for when we come on the air. We'll probably have some news, probably have a preview piece about what's going on in Huntsville tonight with Will and everybody in the Shoals tailgating at Joe Davis Stadium, because it is Hunt City and Crown Legacy and MLS Next Pro. Joe Davis Stadium being unveiled to the public, and they're anticipating 7 billion people there in Huntsville for the match tonight. Going to be a very, very cool moment for soccer in the Southeast, and a very, very cool moment for soccer in the Shoals and in Huntsville tonight. MLS Next Pro. Hunt City and Jack Collison taking on Crown Legacy, the only team that has taken points away from Crown Legacy this year. So Hunt City, Crown Legacy, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Here on the network, OCB and Atlanta United 2, a little before 7 o'clock with your pregame call at 7 o'clock or a little thereafter. That call will be here on the network. So Tennessee Valley, thank you, Will. I've just always thought about that particular section of the planet as being the Shoals. Jared Smith joining us for hour number 2. And Will is slightly excited.
Why?
Because of Hunt City getting their debut with their stadium tonight.
Oh, that's fun. That's wholesome.
Joe Davis
wholesome
Stadium.
In my day.
Yeah, Hunt City played their first 7 matches in MLS Next Pro away from home so they could get Joe Davis Stadium ready. And according to Will, there's going to be 7 billion people there tonight.
I need to know if the engineers built it, if the stadium can move.
Yeah, that's true.
Because with as many rocket scientists as there are in Huntsville, it should be possible to get this stadium to move, right? So, and not even a lot. Just put like an old N64 rumble pack on the stadium so that when they score a goal, the stands shake like the space shuttle when it was you're hitting initial ignition. Just put like an N64 rumble pack on the stadium.
Okay, so they did have an open house before Mother Nature kind of sent everybody home early, but apparently, according to Will, the stadium is definitely flexible. Whatever the word flexible means.
Okay, well, one of the things about that flexibility, you'd be amazed how many things on this planet are engineered to be flexible, not even just rockets.
Yes.
If you knew the amount of sway in most skyscrapers, you might throw up.
Yeah, considering the wind at high altitude, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a couple of inches each way. It's feet.
Yeah.
It's multiple feet in any direction. Those things are built flexible. The universe is very flexible.
Yes, that is true. So since Jared,
I'm excited for them.
Yes, I mean it's going to be 10 to 15 feet of flexibility. Okay. Man, all right. I'm looking forward to it. So it'll be great visuals tonight. It's on Apple TV and MLS Season Pass for the home opener in the history of Hunt City. So Will says that it's 1 to 1.5 feet per 10 stories of flexibility in buildings. So tall skyscrapers. Tall skyscrapers. That's the words I'm looking for. But no, if that had 1 foot to 1.5 feet of sway at the stadium, 10 to 15 feet of sway, that'd be epic, especially with like rockets and things. It is that time where we look at all the other yes, all the other games here in Major League Soccer. Time for the Weekend Whiparound, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, probably, hopefully, rather than later. And we have no early games on Saturday. Everybody starts at 7:30 or later. So it is full Saturday, no Sunday, no early game on over-the-air TV. It is all on Apple TV. And I think there are only 3 matches that are on the free side. Everything's on Season Pass. So,
but if I'm not mistaken, MLS 360 is free.
Yes, that is true. MLS 360 is free this weekend, so you can watch that as well. And apparently you can also have the quad box now, I believe, is an option for you as well.
I believe so. I think that was just on the Apple for a long time. That was just on the Apple TV, like the physical Apple TV, like the actual physical thing that Apple sells you.
Yes.
I don't know. I guess that's available for everybody now, which is awesome because the quad box, all hail the quad box.
Yes.
This is an interesting thing though, because I know it was a discussion this week. I do wish they would, and I understand what they're doing. You know, you've got MLS games that you've got them in a very uniform way right now. They're all starting around the same times. I do wish we had like feature one at noon, feature one at 3, feature one, then feature the rest of them at 7. But give us. I wish they didn't put all of them at 7:30. I wish they would do one at noon or 1 o'clock, one at 3 p.m. It could be East Coast games. We talked about time zones. Time zones suck.
Yes.
The Central Time Zone is the most pure, unfiltered time zone known to mankind. It is God's time zone, as many have said. But I would love for them to add games throughout the day, especially this time of year where you're not competing. There's no college football. There's no college basketball. College baseball is for the real sickos among us who believe that the Sun Belt is the real Thunderdome. The A-Sun tries to be. It has its moments, but college baseball will pick up in the this month into next month where we start getting into regionals and super regionals. Our rears get really stupid.
Correct.
Where you get like, hey, we got these blue bloods in here. What happened? They played Stony Brook. What happened? Stony Brook. Yeah. Stony Brook outscored them 50-4.
Yes.
Because they got a bunch of kids that no one's ever heard of, and all of them are hitting 350. But you don't have that competition on Saturdays and Sundays right now. You're not competing against NHL. You're not competing against NBA. They're in their conference finals. By the way, the Eastern Conference final last night in NHL was an absolute mind-bending event.
Yeah,
4 overtimes.
Sean Vergara said it just finished up before 3 a.m.
We got to give a shout out to the Pittsburgh Penguins for absolutely choking away a playoff spot because they absolutely butterfly affected this entire playoffs into oblivion. Because for a while, man, like if Pittsburgh gets it, Pittsburgh's not beating Boston. You kidding me?
No. Florida
backdoors into the playoffs, beats Boston in the first round and knock out arguably the best team we've ever seen. And here they are with a 1-game lead on a bunch of jerks from Carolina. It's beautiful.
Yes.
But you don't have that competition. So, yeah, MLS. I digress, and that's a long digression, I know.
Wrong with that.
Please, for the love of God, put some games on earlier in the day.
Yeah.
You have the entire Saturday to monopolize. Do it.
Well, unless you're going up against your own programming in the USFL, which is taking up 3-hour blocks right now. So there's that. You've got 7:30. We got a handful of 7:30 games. Charlotte hosting Nashville, and this is surprising no one on Season Pass. Charlotte's a plus 152. Your draw's a plus 231. Nashville on the road is a plus 179. What say you, Jared Smith?
Why would I pick against Nashville at this point?
Yeah. I mean, right now, Charlotte took care of business in the midweek.
And great moments for them. Got the kid in there who gets the goal to get 2 goals.
Yeah, Brandon Cambridge.
Yeah, Cambridge gets 2 goals to get them over Chicago. But man, right now Nashville just kind of Jacob Schaffelberg was such a good get.
Oof.
And I know Jason admonished me because I was critical. Like, why the hell Toronto just giving them away? To which Jason reminded me, they have 2 national team level Italian wingers on that team. And I get it, man, but
come on, man.
Send him somewhere else. I already don't like Nashville.
Yeah.
Send him somewhere else.
If you'd send him to Western Conference Nashville, it'd have been okay. Eastern Conference Nashville, not so much.
Send him to Vancouver or something where I don't have to see him.
Yes.
Because Jacob Schaffelberg is a perfect fit playing in front of Hani Mukhtar.
Mm-hmm.
It's really annoying. I'm really aggravated by it.
You want a good cheap fantasy selection. Jacob Schaffelberg is it right now.
Yeah,
that's a good.
Because if they get a lead, Jacob Schaffelberg is a lock.
Mm-hmm. And so that's the fun part with Nashville. DC United and LAG. DC United, a prohibitive favorite, still on the plus side at a plus 104. Your draw is a plus 264. LAG is a plus 244. This one's on season pass. Yay.
Sorry, I was reading Will's comment. The first rule of rocket science is that anything can fly with a big enough engine.
Correct. That is absolutely true. My
uncle was an engineer, and we had to quit giving him cool things for Christmas because he would spend Christmas afternoon taking them apart to find out how they work.
Mm-hmm.
And then not always putting them back together. Sometimes he would keep them pulled apart just because he could experiment on them further.
Oh, absolutely. Fotis Bazakis is the man in the middle for DC United and LAG. So do not anticipate a whole lot of yellow cards. Do not anticipate a whole lot of fouls being called. I got to go with DC at home.
I'm not taking LAG. I don't trust them as far as I can throw them.
No. And that one's on season pass as well.
They are the mess. They are LA Galaxy are the mess that everyone claims their team is.
Yes.
And that's not just Atlanta, man. That's a lot of teams claim we're a mess, this, that, the other. No. LA Galaxy are the mess that you think you are.
Yes, that is true. Hell is real. 7:30 at TQL. FC Cincinnati's a minus 118. Your draw is a plus 279. Crew are almost a plus 300 in the composite in Hell is Real. I'm going draw.
I'm going Cincy.
Okay.
I'm also going to constantly remind them and a friend of mine who is from Akron originally that he's told me before, he said, here's the thing about the Hell is Real billboard is that there's nothing else there between them.
Nope.
It is a desolate wasteland of nothingness in Ohio between those two towns. It is beyond bleak.
Yeah.
Kind of I guess between Macon and Savannah kind of levels of bleak.
Yeah, that I-16 Lawrence County stretch, no doubt.
Yeah. That being said, I'm still tickled y'all named as rivalry after a billboard of which there are 30 per 5 miles on every stretch of 75 from Macon to the state line.
Yeah. Monroe, Ohio is where the billboard is on I-71. And Ron Carter, administrator of the Evangelical Solid Rock Church, which built a 6-story Jesus statue 3 years in 2004 to try to inspire travelers. Hell is Real. It's on the billboard. And that is how it ended up with that stretch of I-71 getting the nickname Hell is Real because of the billboard that Ron Carter put up on I-71 in between Columbus and Cincinnati, Ohio, in the town of Monroe. So that is where Hell is Real is. I don't trust Hell is Real any further than I can throw the damn rivalry. And so I figure the under, which means it'll be chaos because Nima Sagafi will be the man in the middle for this one. And so I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of chaos. if you have nothing else going on, part of your 4-screen experience probably should be Cincy and crew. Also at 7:39, Inter Miami and the purple team. Inter Miami is a plus 133 in Fort Lauderdale.
Watch me pick against the purple team without thinking twice. Purple team, you can lose.
At a plus 200, your draw is also a plus 243. I don't trust the Herons or the purple team. This is going to be I think this is a goalless draw. I really do. I think it's a goalless draw. Like I said, that's just me. I have no basis in fact. Remy Touchon is the man in the middle. Guido Gonzalez Jr. is your VAR. Inter Miami can't score. Orlando City can't either, which probably means it's going to be a 3-3 thriller.
Inter Miami. Like Orlando's doing that thing again where, like, even when they win games, they're kind of leaving it. They're kind of been like, it's not super convincing. There's rumblings in their fan base that they want to move on from Oscar Pereira, which, again, I will reiterate, I don't know if I like that idea because I don't know if you can hire another good manager.
Correct.
Because all you've done is just like you have grabbed the most explosive item out of the box every time.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Go ahead and grab the grenade that has the pin out of it. You go right ahead.
Yeah.
Good work. That one's on Season Pass as well. Red Bulls and CF Montreal. Red Bulls prohibitive favorite in Harrison, New Jersey at a minus 137. Your draw is a plus 254. CF Montreal is a plus 413 on the number. And the man in the middle is our Bob Davey doppelganger, Drew Fisher. Alejandro Mariscal is your VAR.
You know what we need? Will just mention this, like the prosperity gospel people being so memorable. What we need
they're memeable. They're not memorable.
Well, they are both.
Yes.
I don't forget them, mostly because they look crazy.
Yes.
Y'all see Kenneth Copeland lately?
His hair never moved in 40 years of being on television.
Okay, fine, memeable. So here's the thing about it. What we need is Hell is Real to have a crossover with the Righteous Gemstones.
Oh.
I need Uncle Baby Billy to go and like jump on the capo stand at a Hell is Real game.
Oh man.
I'll be so happy. That's there was a lot of work and a lot of people screaming for a very long time to have Ric Flair hit the spike like he did in the playoffs in 19.
Uh-huh.
That was an awesome moment. Atlanta was not going to lose after that happened.
No, of course not.
Uncle Baby Billy shows up at a Hell is Real match and leans into the billboard. Yeah. Whoever hosts that is winning that game 7-0.
Oh, no doubt.
That's happening, man.
Four card says that Orlando's going to fire Oscar and hire Caleb Porter.
That is hell. And you know what? It might work for a while.
Yeah.
Because the thing, though, is like Caleb has gotten so regressive as he has gone on as a manager. Like he's gotten so like salty and bitter, and it has just gotten further and further inside of his shell as time goes on. Like I don't know if you're going to get the same Caleb Porter that was successful at Portland or the same one who caught lightning in a bottle in Columbus.
Yeah. No, I think you're right there. Oh man. Nick Alifi joining us for the Weekend Whiparound.
There we go.
We are discussing the other matches going on in Major League Soccer for the weekend.
Nick, have you ever seen the Righteous Gemstones?
Oh, of course.
Okay, I need Uncle Baby Billy to capo the Hell is Real Derby.
Oh my God. Powder Spring Zone. Yeah. Baby Billy would be perfect for that. Baby Billy would be perfect for that. It's probably if the fact that there has not been an Emmy awarded to that man for that role is the travesty of our time.
But God, Walton Goggins.
I'm just saying, Walter Goggins needs a statue of some sort by an independent body that has recognized the genius of that. The whole show is incredible. The whole show is just absolutely mind-bending how good it is.
So what you're saying is
graduate of Lithia Springs High School, by the way.
Wow.
There we go.
Works. So you're saying that the SDH Drama Awards, or the SDH Television Awards, should have Righteous Gemstones as the monopoly winning any and all categories that are appropriate.
Without question.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to look, man, if you want to get him to come hit the spike, I'll support that too.
Oh yeah, no, he has to come,
but he's got to come
dressed as Baby Bill. Yeah.
He's got to do it
with
that
the
way.
miracle elixir.
Yes,
cause cure flu, strips, even COVIDs.
Shut up, nerd.
Last match at 7:30 should set the world on fire. Philadelphia, 7:39 kick hosting the Revs in Chester at a +100. Your draw and the Revs to win are within the margin of error right now. Draws a +263. The Revs are a +258. And the man in the middle is the inconsistent gentleman that was on display Wednesday in Atlanta, Lucas Zapala. And Edvin Jurasevich is your VAR. So
Zapala was in Saturday. We had Fotis Pazakos Wednesday.
Oh, that's right.
Fotis Pazakos was solid. I mean, I thought he managed it fine.
Yeah, well, it's because Fotis doesn't want to whistle, and then he doesn't want to throw any cards. So he's not.
The thing he did that I love, though, that Pazakos does consistently is he communicates. He almost over communicates with players.
Yes.
And if you're going to call it in a weird way, at least communicate and let them know. And you watch him after he blows a whistle, he's talking to guys.
Yeah.
And I even if I don't like the way he's calling it, at least it generally stays consistent, and he's communicating with them. I feel like you don't see him have players lash out at him very often because he makes it very clear where the line is.
Yep. So sorry, Lucas Zapala a week ago for the Atlanta match. The inconsistent Lucas Zapala will be in Philadelphia, which is what that match really does not need, Nick, an inconsistent center ref, because we all know what Philadelphia wants to do with their approach.
Yeah, machete ball. Philadelphia with the machete tactics. That is, if you ever watch those videos that always pop up like late October, early November, where the fire departments around the country take the frozen turkey and lower it into the boiling vat of oil. That's exactly what this match is going to be. And not in like ooh, wow, this is really cool. That's exactly what this is going to be. It's going to be, a disaster on every level.
Mm-hmm.
And Philly's going to just dive into that role. They know exactly what they can do. They know exactly what they can get away with. If New England can keep their composure, I think they're going to come out winners. But this match is set up for a Philly upset.
Yeah, Philly, and this one's also on Season Pass at Subaru Park, 7:39 kick. Your 8:30s. We're going to save Chicago and Atlanta for last. 8:30 Season Pass at Q2. Toronto FC goes to Austin. Your juice boxes. Austin is on the minus side at a -105, and that tells you where Toronto is in the world consciousness. Draw and Toronto are within the margin of error right now with each other. The draw is a +267. Toronto FC is a +272. Man in the middle is Izmir Pekmic. Pierre-Luc Lozier Jarrett is your VAR.
Okay. I'm not taking Austin.
Can you take neither?
Is it draw?
Yeah, I mean, that's man. I mean, Q2 will be sold out, Nick. It'll be a great environment, but I'm just not looking to a whole lot out of this match. I'm really not.
This is one of those that are. You're talking about a Toronto team. What 17 goals allowed? I don't know really. There's nothing like. Look at here, Austin, 18 goals allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like some kind of like German horror flick that like this is like the human centipede of MLS games. It's that terrible.
Oof.
Like this is something that is Mystery Science Theater 3000 worthy.
Did you ever see House of Sand and Fog? Ben Kingsley, because it's a really it's not a horror movie, it's a drama, but it is grim as hell, and that's kind of how I feel about this game.
So what you're saying if there was, in addition to the quad box on MLS Season Pass, if they had say who would be the perfect hosts for Mystery Soccer Theater 3000 on Season Pass? Do we bring in our friends from Asheville City to do it?
No, I'm on it. This is one of the few times I'm going to plug my own self, and I'm going to say you're putting me on there, or I'm going to have major problems because just for this game, right? You can have me as the rotating fourth horseman if you want, but this requires a level of pettiness, a level of villainy that is not of normal man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, exactly. The soccer over there and Sickos committee. That's exactly who needs to Mystery Science Theater this thing.
See, and Will, go ahead, Jared.
You know how I don't know, John. This might be beyond you, and that's okay.
I'm sure
I'm hitting a really niche topic right now. So when Twitch was in not really its infancy, but before it really hit big, there's a thing called Twitch Plays Pokemon, where basically like somebody was playing a game of Pokemon like on the Game Boy. And they were crowdsourcing every single decision. So basically, every move that got made, like in these turn-based battles, they were asking the general public, "What should we do?" And it took forever, but eventually they beat the game doing this. That's basically what we should do with this game. Toronto and Austin should be played via Twitch, and every pass, every shot should pause, and you should go by poll.
Oh, that's fantastic. That would be tremendous. But as a genuine public service, Will has gotten the sickos into Kennesaw State football and to hashtag Action at the Fraction. So we would like to thank Will for tipping his hat for Brian Bohannon and the KSU Owls and Action at the Fraction in whatever form it takes.
Will doing the people's work here.
He is. Copa Tejas also at 8:30. FC Dallas and Houston Dynamo. FC Dallas at Toyota Stadium in the lovely suburb of Frisco, Texas, is a -111, home of the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame. The draw is a +254. Houston on the road is a +304. Victor Rivas is in the middle. Jair Marufo is your VAR. I fear for this match.
Oh, man.
Jesus, they beat the Twitch Bits Pokemon beat every generation 6 to 7.
Wow.
I'm sorry. The problem is Generation 2 is weird because when you beat Generation 2, it reopens Generation 1 back up. So you can play the first one again. However, the difficulty is ramped up. And then at the very end, you go through this labyrinth of a mountain and you get to basically play your character from the first game, who is just every one of his Pokemon has just been on like 2 years worth, like the Barry Bonds level cycles.
Oh, wow.
And they're just overpowered to hell. So the fact that Twitch beat them is nothing short of a miracle of technology.
This one's also on Season Pass. And really, I mean, I got to go with FC Dallas in this one. Just because, once again, we know how difficult it is to win on the road. And I'll go with FCD. I don't think this will be a game that you will put in the time capsule. Then thank you. Thank you for reinforcing their interest in KSU football with Action at the Fraction.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go with FCD. This is not going to be the 8:30 game that I will be watching, mind you, but we'll keep an eye on this one. 9:30, Prairie Dogs and RSL. Prairie Dogs and the Colorado Rapids coming off of the 4-0 whitewashing on the road, where they just showed up at Mercedes-Benz, much like Kurt Busch or Marshawn Lynch, just so they wouldn't get fined. -110 at home. And the draw and RSL are within their margin of error with each other. Draw is a +279. RSL is a +275. That has changed while I was even reading the odds in the composite. Nick Alifi, do you care? This is one of the few matches that is actually on the free side of Apple TV. And John Freeman, no relation, is your ref in the middle. Greg Dopka is your VAR.
Can I tell you that I am very interested in this game?
Sure.
Because this has the makings of something really drunk and something really stupid.
Okay.
And that's what MLS is really known for, right? Like that if you bet money on this league, seek help immediately. Because there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. The games that look like they should be absolute barn burners turn into like this absolute, like a World War I trench battle. And then the games that mean absolutely nothing, should be terrible, turn into these insane, like, it's like, I'm not going to say Barcelona, Real Madrid in their primes, but I am going to say that this is something like, cocaine-fueled knife fight. This has all the makings of a cocaine-fueled knife fight, and I'm 100% on board. Two teams that are terrible, two teams that have no business ever going near the opposition 18, and I watch. This is going to be like 3-2, 3-3, absolutely nuts. This is the game I'm absolutely watching.
Concur or disagree, Jared Smith?
I believe in degeneracy. It's one of the tenets upon which I've built my life.
I feel like cocaine fueled knife fight should be a T-shirt for us.
It should be.
Hudson, cocaine fueled knife fight. That we need to add that one to the stack.
You gotta be careful where you wear that.
That is true.
Don't take it to your nephew's baptism.
No, well, I mean,
there's some places like even around here where it will be viewed as a challenge.
Yes.
It's like a peacock. You walk in and like the feathers go out. It's like, oh well, we're gonna get a third out here.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, and you're right though, because it's kind of like when John Morant decided to start flashing a gun around Memphis without understanding that in some places that's a challenge.
Yeah,
and it's a challenge that people will take readily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Also at 9:30, St. Louis City SC is hosting Sporting Kansas City. Be on the lookout for this one. This is definitely a bolo match. Man in the middle is Chris Penso. Your VAR is Jose Carlos Rivero. Your numbers, City is a plus 102 in the composite. Your draws a plus 264. Sporting Kansas City, which has found something in offense in recent weeks, is a plus 246. Nicolifi, cocaine-fueled knife fight or no?
I'm going to say that I think that Sporting Kansas City wins, and I'm going to go even further out on that limb, God help me, and say that I think they do it in a somewhat convincing fashion.
Oh, Jared Smith.
Kansas City seems to have fixed themselves, and yeah, I said before Wednesday. I actually said it Wednesday morning, that you're gonna feel like God has forsaken you because you didn't get to play Kansas City when they were a trash compactor. So yeah,
I'm not ready to give Sporting Kansas City like the zombie Sporting Kansas City yet.
Zombie for me, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Jared, has called it. There's gonna be a lot of teams that are gonna wish that they had played Sporting Kansas City when they were a steaming dung heap, and now that they are coherent, it's going to be something a little different. But I think this is, and look, shout out to St. Louis, 4th in the Western Conference. Good for you.
Hot start. You banked your points. You ain't that same team.
But I think Vermes is he feels a little disrespected, and I think he is able to funnel that information right into the locker room. And so if they are remotely coherent and heated because they feel disrespected, I think that's not going to work out well for St. Louis.
One of the best.
Well, it's kind of like Charlotte, where Atlanta caught Charlotte the first time when they played in Charlotte. Look, Christian Latanzio was just throwing stuff at a wall, man. Brent Bronico playing outside back. You were trying to shoehorn all these guys on the field together like it was FIFA and it wasn't working. That was the time to play Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. It was. And Will, from the land of the trash panda, says that Sporting was the trash. Now they're the compactor in the Derby de Missouri.
Yeah, very fair. Can we just call that misery?
The Derby de Misery?
No, just misery.
Oh,
That's all. Just misery.
just misery. Okay.
Yeah. Like with getting your legs broken with a sledgehammer. Misery.
So that's
Kathy Bates going to show up and lead the charge.
Kathy Bates will show up to Children's Mercy Park with a sledgehammer,
and that needs to be the tifo. It needs to be Kathy Bates with the sledgehammer above her head, and just that's what you run. And yes, Ricky Ricardo spelled it perfectly. MIZ -ERY. And just and hoist it up and let him know that it's the misery. It's all it is.
We've made the tifo for you, Sporting Kansas City fan. We have made the tifo for you for this match.
You
bring your tifo into the section of City Park that they're going to allow you in. You sit there, you unveil it right there in the visitors section. It might be, might be like a glorified sheep that might be 8 feet long or something. But yeah, there you go. Misery. You've got your own. 10:30 kicks. And this one impacts Jarrett Smith directly. By the way, St. Louis City and Sporting is on FS1 and on the free side of Apple TV. Every other 10:30 match is on Season Pass. LAFC at home hosting San Jose Earthquakes. Man in the middle for this one is Ismail Elfath. Soren Stoichka is your VAR. Your juice box is here. LAFC prohibitive favorite at a -227. Your draw is a +379. San Jose, Jared, is a +564.
San Jose already cashed in their deal with the devil this year when they beat LAFC the last time. So I'm comfortable taking LAFC in this game. Generally, it's only once a year that San Jose gets to get a stab in on LAFC and draw a little bit of blood. They already did that.
So, I mean, I've got to go with LAFC as a prohibitive favorite here. I don't think that anybody's going to flinch on that one. Also on the board, Portland hosting Minnesota United at Providence Park. Timbers are a -108. Your draw's a +268. Minnesota United is a +278. Armando Villarreal is the man in the middle. Tori Penso gets to listen to Adrian Heath and Gio Savarese as the fourth. Kevin Broadley, Nick, is your VAR. It's on Season Pass.
Hold on, give me those numbers again.
Portland a -108.
Okay.
Draws a +268. Minnesota United's a +278 at Providence Park at 10:39.
Okay, all right. I had it reversed. I was like, somebody in Vegas knows something. if those numbers are reversed.
Not so fast, my friend.
I was about to be like,
Yeah, not happening.
No. Look, it'll play out. Just like Vegas said.
Vegas knows something. They don't pop those numbers a day early. They pop those numbers, a couple hours early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's I've got to go with the home side here. We still don't know when Emmanuel Reynoso is going to be a part of game day activities and getting into matches for Minnesota United, but it was announced earlier this week that he is back. And so Bebelo is back, and we'll see what happens with Minnesota, but not this week. Also late, it is Cascadia. BC Place, Vancouver hosting Seattle. Seattle has folks scratching their heads, and once again, we'll have Thursdays with Nico on a Friday at 4 o'clock here on the network. Vancouver's a +129 at BC Place. Your draw's a +239. Seattle is a +209. And just after we thought Seattle would be running away with everything, they lose to Austin at Lumen Field 2-1. Austin was a +480. And also Seattle loses to Sporting Kansas City. And also they beat Houston 1-0 on the road. So which Seattle team are we getting is in this discussion here, Nick Alifi?
I think you're getting the bloodthirsty zombie Sounders.
Okay.
I think that's who you're getting on this one.
All right.
You're going to have a clunker every. Look, it's MLS. We cannot judge any game in this league by any game that we watch in the Prem or La Liga or Ligue 1 or
come on.
No. This is the Any Given Sunday League. Al Pacino speech, all of it. I'm not shocked.
Oh, Willie Beeman, we like you.
Yeah, 6 inches in front of your face.
Mm-hmm.
but no, I'm going to take Seattle on this one. Is front loaded as that is, I'll take Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Jarrett Smith, what say you with the Joe Dickerson is your man in the middle, and Kevin Terry Jr. is your VAR?
Well, Seattle might have a unique skill set on their hands, which is being a very good team, but also somehow at the same time being everyone's get right game. And it's a very weird place to be in, that Seattle might be this weird kind of team where they're really good. What happens when they play really bad teams? Oh, when really bad teams come visit really bad teams, have a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, but Vancouver for me is always traditionally a very bad place to play for anybody. I don't care where you're traveling from. I don't know what it is about Vancouver and BC Place. It might be the fake roof. I don't know. But BC Place traditionally a very, very tough place to play. I still think Seattle gets it done, but I think it's going to be a little rougher than folks expect. All right, game on the board from Soldier Field. Yes, all caps. City SC and BC Place. Atlanta United on the road at Chicago. 8:39 kick on Season Pass. 8 o'clock Eastern is your pregame show, 92.9 The Game with Mike and Jason. I imagine there will be an abbreviated postgame show after so they can hop on a plane and come back. So they're at the spaceship going up against a not very good Chicago team. Your numbers, Chicago at home is a plus 134. Your draw is a plus 250. Atlanta United is a plus 192. Nick Alifi, start us off.
Guess who the highest scoring team in MLS is right now?
Who is the highest scoring team in MLS right now, Nick?
Atlanta United.
Atlanta United is basically a Big 12 team right now.
I mean, look, yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah, 25 goals scored, 21 allowed. This is Baylor. It really is. But if Chicago is an organization rather, that has made some serious self-inflicted gunshot wounds to itself, right? I mean, you fired your manager, didn't give him any time to really build anything, and said, "Oh, nope, you're out the door." You have a DP who is not even. It's not even like they're performing in ways that you typically, I like people think DP, okay, score. But like Araujo, you had somebody who was like busting his butt running back, nonstop motor. Maybe everything that was, you would expect of a DP wasn't there, but you're not getting any of that out of Shaqiri.
No, you're not.
I'm nothing, right? So you have bloated contracts, you have clear misdirection going on up at the top, and the team's a mess. Which means this is going to be a really tight game.
Of course.
So I'm looking at it to be 1-1 up until about the 80th minute, and then Yorgos is going to put one ahead, and I think Atlanta walks out 2-1. Winners late, much to the chagrin of the Twitter sphere that will be going absolutely nuclear the entire game about get rid of everyone. And then that Yorgos boom Yakimakis goal happens, and then everyone is seemingly happy for a little bit.
All right, Jarrett, what do you think? They will not have Gaston Jimenez because of yellow card accumulation, but they will have not so big Shaq and his $8 million salary.
Yeah, and Shaqiri's been okay. He's been fine. But you don't pay $8 million a year for fine.
No.
You pay $8 million a year for someone to flip the game on its head, and he hasn't done it consistently. I don't know if he can at this point. Right. It's also the fact that Chicago's got some fun pieces, but they just haven't, like, they've missed on those big pieces in MLS that you have to hit on to put you over the top. And they haven't. As far as this game goes, I mean, Chicago may be running out of a little bit of the juice with that new manager balance they got. That being said, Chicago's been a house of horrors for Atlanta. Last few times Atlanta's gone up there, they have gotten hit over the head with a hammer pretty severely. And you wonder if that's kind of in the back of people's heads going into this. Of, hey, every time we go here, we basically step on the mouse trap, and then we step in the bear trap, and then we fall in the tub and grab the toaster on the way into the water. Atlanta's got to carry on the intensity that they had against Colorado, and then as you know, in those moments where Chicago's going to let them have some of the play of the ball, they have to be patient, because one of the big things they weren't when Chicago was here in the 2-1 victory, the weird ass 2-1 victory you had against Chicago, was they weren't patient. Like, Chicago kind of set them up in a mid block, laid a couple traps in the middle of the field, and Atlanta was trying to play through it too quickly, kept turning the ball over into dangerous situations instead of take your time. Hey, sometimes look, man, if it ain't there, if they're clogging up the middle like that, take it out to the wings or go over the top. Get Brooks Lennon making that horizontal run where he's just basically running it like a wide receiver along the line of scrimmage, then puts his foot in the ground and cuts on a go route.
Mm-hmm.
Do that with Andrew Gutman if he's the guy. Like, have these opportunities where guys can create space over the top if they're going to sit in that kind of a middle block. Just depends on what Chicago gives you. You have to manage your intensity, and you have to minimize your mistakes. And if they can do that, I think Atlanta will create enough. And ultimately, for a team that leads the league in goals, Atlanta has left a lot on the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I think that worries me, is how often they have, and it's not even just the missed penalties this year, because you've missed 2 of them. It's not even just those. It's the fact that, you've had games where you dominate early and you haven't been able to find, that early go-ahead goal. So you need to be able to find it. You've created chances. You've scored a lot of goals this year. You got to score early, and you got to put them in a tight spot. So just be patient if you're Atlanta, and it's this thing like where we talk about like with playing fast versus playing quickly. Like, playing fast can be, it's those transition moments where you're going fast. Playing quickly doesn't necessarily mean just playing fast. It can be it could be, if y'all have seen like the breakdowns of the Manchester City game from over the week from where they demolished Real Madrid. Sorry, Ricky. It's if the lane is shut down and you play it back and you start switching play around to the other side, you do it quickly. You're quick passing. You're being accurate with your passes. You're settling the ball, and you're looking to make that next pass quickly. You're changing the angle on things before the defense can adjust themselves. And you're going to need to play quickly but under control, and you're going to have to balance when to go, when not to go, and it's going to be tricky because you don't want to go down. It's bad enough when you go down at home. It's even worse when you go down on the road.
Mm-hmm. Nick, we haven't had the chance to get your thoughts on, and Jarrett's, frankly. We talked about it in the morning show yesterday as the rumor was coming to the fore with Luis to Flamengo. We talked about it in opening kickoff a bit this morning before 9:30, but Luiz Araujo now heading to Flamengo for just under $10 million.
It looked good for everybody. You wanted it to be one of those gangbuster moves coming from one of the. I don't really want to call Ligue 1 one of the top leagues in the world, but I mean, I think you kind of have to.
Numerically, yeah.
Yeah, and so he was a champion there, and to leave Ligue 1 and come here, you wanted bright lights, big cities, pretty ladies, biggest house on the biggest hill, biggest side of town, and you only got part of it. I can never question the man's work ethic. I mean, the guy ran his ass off every game. Whenever you went through the player lines pregame, he signed everything that was put in front of him. He took pictures with all the kids. He did all the stuff that you want your star to do. One thing that we had talked about earlier this week was there were 2 parallel paths, right? That sort of started they had to start in the same place, right? Which was you want him to perform. You either want him to perform well and score goals or provide assists, and he gets out of the rut that he's in, and he becomes an unbelievably good player for you, or he builds value and somebody comes in and goes, yep, we will take him. And it looked like it was option 2. So, I think that it's going to be good for him to go home and find some comfort there. I hope he finds just a metric ton of success. I have zero bad things to say about him. Mm-hmm. Sometimes transfers work really well. Sometimes, they don't work as swimmingly as you thought they would. And again, I'll say it over and over and over again. I will take this over any of these other teams that are more than happy to sit in mediocrity and shout to the heavens at the people who are trying to do big things. And as long as Atlanta keeps daring mighty things by going and making these transfers, these crazy transfers, and trying to sign these DPs, I am 100% all for it, and I want them to keep doing it. And I'm willing to take the success failure rate that Atlanta's had, because there are a lot of teams that are missing hardware that Atlanta has. So, and it's an open DP slot. So let's see what Boca and Garth can cook up, and I'm here for it.
Jarrett, what do you think?
I think it's best for both parties. I mean, he put it. I think Luiz put in the effort. He wanted it to make it work. It's an interesting one when you start exploring if you're going to make a move like that, because what it does is you're bringing in a guy who had succeeded in France, I think, with the idea of, hey, come here and be, you bring him in here at the end of 21, you're getting Joseph back from knee surgery. You're thinking at that point, hey, there's a really good chance Joseph is going to go back to prime Joseph, like 2018, 2019 Joseph. You're going to have a Marcelino Moreno or someone of that ilk. You still had Ezequiel Barco here. You're in the mindset of come here and be like the second or third scoring option in the United States, which, and France is very top heavy as a league, but you succeeded there. Come make those numbers look even better here as a depth option, and you don't have to carry this thing. And that's not the way it worked out. And then when you needed him to, he wasn't clinical enough to put the ball in the back of the net. I think he did a lot of things right here, but with what you were paying him, he wasn't goal dangerous enough, and it would sucked because it wasn't it certainly wasn't like a matter of he didn't want it or he wasn't trying. It wasn't that. It just didn't work. But for him, I hope this is a chance to kind of refresh himself, go home, go somewhere that's, it's more familiar, and see if you can figure yourself out a bit, and see if you can kind of find yourself and take baby steps with it. It's not all going to click at once, most likely. So hopefully it's baby steps for him. For Atlanta, we talked about this the other day. You took a big swing. And it had its moments, but it wasn't enough. And that's okay. You took a big swing. It wasn't, you're actually recouping a lot of your costs. I don't think it really ultimately matters to them on the bottom. I don't think they're pulling their hair out, flipping desks over in the office over, losing out on, a couple $1 million ultimately here, because you're not letting him walk for free, that sort of thing.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, it was almost 12 coming in and it's almost 10 going out.
Yeah. So you hate to see it in this way, you do, but we talked about it. You take big swings hoping they work, and they don't always work. And when they don't work, I think the worst thing you can do is just kind of keep trying to force a square peg into a round hole. Mm-hmm. And in this case, I mean, it's more of it's not even if it's that, because he still had some good moments. He still puts in good work. And I still think he's a talented player. It just hasn't clicked right. But you recognize that, okay, this isn't working the way we thought it would, which stinks. So we're going to move you You're going to go somewhere that's familiar. You're going to go to your home country.
Mhm.
We're going to make some money back on this, not all of it, and we're going to change our approach, because sometimes you just gotta. It's important to know in life when, hey, this ain't working. I can't keep using this same tool to get a rusted lug nut off this tire, off this wheel. I need a different tool. I need to change my approach.
Yeah.
And right now, I think you need to change your approach.
Yeah, and so we'll see. Obviously, Tom and Emilio in the Twitch pitch are talking about, okay, now that this first piece is done, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Atlanta United and how things are navigated with Carlos and Garth in the summer window as the first window for all of this.
This summer window is going to be irresponsibly drunk, and I am going to tell y'all now, please, for the love of God, know your sources, check your sources. Because there was also a report yesterday from Garcia Grova in Argentina that Atlanta might be looking for like $40 million for Thiago Almada.
Yeah,
you could have 2 DP spots open with the biggest spending team in the league, arguably, and one of the most ambitious when it comes to signing big name players.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of folks linked to Atlanta that have no business being linked to Atlanta. There's going to be a lot of folks linked to Atlanta who you're thinking, well, that makes total sense, right?
Yep.
This is going to be a very weird and interesting situation for Atlanta United. And if you have your searches set up on Hootsuite, on TweetDeck, whatever it might be, just know your sources when you start seeing like MLS or Atlanta United linked to guys.
Yes.
Because there are going to be a lot of damn rumors out there this summer.
Yes.
And don't forget, the world does not live on MLS's calendar. This is going to be the time of year to get guys over from Europe if you want them, because they are going to be ending their season. A lot of them will be ending their contracts at this time of year.
Mm-hmm. Regular season for most is going to be next couple of weeks. Competitions in England will go through the first weekend of June, window in July and August. Check your sources. That is going to be our mantra once again when we get into June. Check your sources. Yes, Will. Only sources from the finest SEC message boards, and apparently, for Hunt City, Joe Davis is a sellout tonight.
I too only link things to Tiger droppings.
Yes. So that's what
to Texas Ags.
Yes, that's what you're staring at when it comes to all of this. So very, very busy weekend. Before we go, I will give both of you parting shots. So because I do want to discuss what happened yesterday in stupidity down here. Nick, what else is on your mind this morning before we head into the weekend?
I see Airborne DJ said, give me a skilled, big, fast 23, 24-year-old winger coming into his prime from Croatia or somewhere in Eastern Europe. I want some Chileans. I want Peruvians. I want people who, give me some folks. Argentina's great. Argentina's wonderful, but give me somebody from Uruguay. Give me somebody, from some of these other countries out there that have been able to produce talent that have really thrived in this league. So
K-League, J-League, baby. Either one.
J-League, yes. Please go hit up the J-League, because they've got some stars out there who are just not exposed to a larger media market yet, and Europe is starting to pick up on it. So beat them to the damn punch. That's what I'm looking for. But yes, check your sources, and for those who are like transfer truthers, who are like, oh, you don't transfer season stupid. Look, just let people have fun. There's so many people out there trying to rob your joy in this time and space. Man, let people enjoy the stupidity of silly season. But yes, please check your sources. But yes, enjoy
that's why
the
they call it silly season.
Enjoy it. That's my last thing before.
Let it be silly.
Before we get into stupidity down here.
Yeah, Jarrett, your parting shot before stupidity down here.
Yeah, check your sources. Have fun this weekend. Enjoy the games, and enjoy the fact that this is going to be a kind of an interesting road game, and then you have Orlando after that, and it should be a very interesting. It should be a very interesting situation for Atlanta in terms of maintaining the situational intensity. They did a great job of it against Colorado. Do it against Chicago, and then you have Orlando if the Orlando game don't light a fire under you, your wood's wet.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Wes. Okay. Stupidity down here before we go. Burned is petitioning for Nico de la Cruz, by the way. Stupidity down here yesterday.
Nico young enough for that move anymore? I like Nico a lot. I'm kind of wondering, like, what if we could have gotten Nico 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I do like Nico. I do not begrudge you that decision. Ultimately,
but West Ham makes their first final in 47 years. So yesterday they beat AZ Alkmaar on both legs, and so
he's only 25. Why do I feel like he was older? Sorry, I feel like Nico is like 28 or 29 now. Not that would have been bad, but never mind. Yeah, do it, Burn. Make it happen. Call in your favors.
AZ likely to face punishment from UEFA after the match with West Ham ended on an unpleasant note from our friends at The Guardian. Chaos when fans of the Dutch side ran into an area housing West Ham officials, sponsors, friends, and families of the team. Saeed Benrahma, Michael Antonio, Aaron Cresswell, and Flynn Downs were among the West Ham players who confronted the supporters. David Moyes' elderly father was in the section that was targeted. Moyes, quote, "I can't explain what happened, why it happened. Players were involved because it was the family section. That was probably the reason for the reaction. I don't want that in any way to blight the night because the West Ham fans weren't looking for trouble. Hopefully they'll look into it. My family were there and I had friends in the section." One West Ham fan who was nearby said the AZ fans who attacked were wearing black shirts and had their hoods up. Some were wearing balaclavas. He said they did not get very far and added the bigger concern was for young Dutch families who had been caught in the in-between. Pascal Janssen, AZ's manager, apologized for the trouble. They win 3-1 on aggregate. And there's video out there of one West Ham supporter who was at the base of one of the staircases and was fending off a dozen AZ fans with their hoods up. And, I mean, dude was defending the entire West Ham section. I mean, he was a heavy-set guy, probably in his 50s. And he was fending off 12 of the AZ fans who were trying to charge the West Ham section.
Man, he was throwing punches like Tyson Fury.
I mean,
Balin the Defender in Kingdom of Heaven, if you've ever seen it, it's one of the greatest war epics ever put on film. The extended edition, not the standard. The theatrical release was trash. The extended edition from Ridley Scott is one of the best war epics.
It really is.
Yeah. So West Ham supporters have accused Dutch police and stadium security of significant failures after the fans were attacked by, as the Telegraph refers to them, balaclava-wearing thugs Thursday night. So, and there's video out. It's disgusting. And I want, I'm hoping that UEFA throws the book at AZ Alkmaar. And, Declan Rice is throwing stuff at AZ Alkmaar supporters in return. It was completely and totally out of control last night. And, West Ham, good on you for making the final. But it was a complete and total ish show when it came to your security and trying to make sure that the West Ham supporters, and there were like 200 of them, and they were trying to get them down one tunnel. And so, of course, AZ Alkmaar fans wearing balaclavas, putting their hoods up on their sweatshirts, thought that they were real fans and decided to go chasing after old dudes and women.
But this is, and we've talked about this on the production thread, and I've said it several times. And it used to be that sports were the outlet, right? Mm-hmm. You had a tough week at work. You went to see the hometown team play. And you kind of just like enjoyed yourself, right? And then you got to let loose a little bit, have a couple of brews, and you got to enjoy things. Now in England, very different animal. Hooliganism was everywhere, right? But in today's age, sports have turned into the vent right? Like I'm taking all of my anger, all of my rage, and I'm taking it to the stadium. I'm taking it to social media, and I'm just going to unleash it. And for the cops to sit there and watch these two British dudes, these old hefty British dudes, essentially like reenact the last stand of the 300. It's absolutely mind bending to me, and it shows that we're starting to develop this apathy of like, yeah, well, they're not my problem. Good luck to them. I don't know what the damn solution is. I think I'd be a BS artist if I tried to present one, but I think we at first have just acknowledged the problem that we are way too damn angry when it comes to these sports and how we handle these athletes and how we handle a lot of things. We are just way, way, way too into our feelings on this. And I used to be one of them. I used to be one of those people who was the profanity-laced tirades at every game. And once you have kids, I think it kind of makes you reevaluate that stuff. But I'm tired of sporting events being the vent, for people to go and unleash all of their damn life problems, either at opposing fans or at other teams. It's absolute stupidity, and it's got to stop.
The stupidity down here. So that is another go round of the show. I got to go catch up with Mauricio Ruiz at Jack's USL and find out what's going on there. Once again, busy show today, busy network today. Jack's USL update with the USL Super League. That's coming up later today. NPSL Southeast Conference Review Preview. That's coming up later today. Thursdays with Nico on a Friday, live on the network at 4 o'clock. You can come back here on Twitch. The audio will be released later. A little before 7 o'clock on the network, it is Atlanta United 2, Orlando City B from Osceola Heritage Park. I'll have the call on that one. We'll get you ready for the weekend in MLS Next Pro. And a sold-out house at Joe Davis Stadium tonight, as Will is probably leaving right this very moment when the show is over and heading right over there to start the tailgate, as you should. Crown Legacy in Hunt City with our friend Jack Collison coming up at 8 o'clock tonight. That's on MLS Next Pro. Have a good weekend, everybody. Nick, Jarrett, send us home. Nick first.
Until next time, everybody, man, just take a breath. Take a breath, relax, watch some Bluey. It's going to be all right. Until next time, mucho euro, y'all.
Jarrett.
Mucho plata, y'all. Go watch Bluey. It's actually fun.
What he said. Since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Busy day on the network. We'll catch up with you today. We'll also catch up with you over the weekend and on Monday.